Days when the pain is a lot to carry. And the ones who are supposed to love you end up hurting you the most. And everything inside you wants to run, to hide, to escape. And sometimes that's how you cover the pain. But that's not how scars work. They run deep. And so you pretend everything's okay. But the pain doesn't stop. I think pretending just makes it worse. Until you realize you're not alone. Other people are broken too. And they need someone to help. Someone who knows what it feels like. Who's walked through it. The pain can scar you, but it also changes the way you look around yourself, at the world, at people. Because no one's too broken for grace. That's what makes it grace.
No one is too broken for grace. No one. We all came here for one reason or another at some point to visit, to come with a friend, to see what was going on. All of us deserve grace. I do, because I'm not living this up. Thanks, brother. Good job, Chris. So, when Adam asked me to preach this Sunday, when he'll be out, I knew that the crowd would be a little bit lesser, and I was like, that's okay, because then that way, if I bomb, then there'll be less people to see me bomb, so that's good. But I know Alan will make sure that people know that I bomb, but the video, I just wanted to do a video in the front, because after you do that, after it starts stirring you up after the previous worship, then it just makes me look better. So you're already kind of in an emotional state. We've all gone through something when we feel like we're alone and we're the only one going through it, but then something happens and we meet somebody or somebody talks to us about God, and something happens. So maybe after I spoke briefly last time, you've never done an entire sermon on but God. I have not. And today, it's going to be about but God. Like what happens in our lives, what things go on, and when we step into it, when we're messed up with it, we can go, but God. And so we're going to go through some scriptures. Now, I do not like preachers who go through and have 37 scriptures, and they keep on going through them. I don't like hearing those, but today, that's the kind of guy I want to be, because to make an impact, I don't like it, I apologize ahead of time, but to make an impact and to show you where but God is in the Bible, I want to show you some scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament, give you some background. We're going to go through them, because that's going to be something in the future. Anytime you read it, anytime you see it, you're going to see those two words and go, but God. And there's something definite that's going to happen after that. There's going to be something that is going to be revelation for you, and you're going to be able to do something with it and apply it. So that's something that we're going to do is have it. We're going to look at them. Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared like Adam. We're not going to have it on the screen, yellow highlights, and all that stuff, but we're still going to go through it. Kind of what I want to look at is we're going to, for the outline, is three things. But dead, but now alive. Once we were dead in our sin, but God made us alive. Second part, we were going to be separated but not joined. once we were held captive by Satan, but God has made us free. And we're going to kind of look at last year. So we're going to kind of go through those things and how I'm going to do it. Now, some of y'all know that my wife had surgery. She had her hip replaced. It's due to a genetic thing, not a genetic thing, but due to something that's been caused in her body. So she had her hip replaced. So she's not here. This morning when I was getting ready to leave, she woke up, and I went to the prison first because I preached out there. And she goes, I don't care if you leave me as long as you're always leaving me for God. It didn't hit me then, but it hit me now. That she's okay with what I do, it's for God. But I had to leave her there, and she can't really fend for herself, but she does to some degree. Some of y'all do not know that Genevieve moved in with us, and she moved in anticipation for this to help us during that time frame around the house and do things, and then it's also helpful for her until she transitions somewhere else. So it's a double win for everybody, but I can't do it all on my own. Sabrina's been home for college, so she's been helping out a lot, with things as well. But it's tough on me to try to do it when you realize what this person used to do, and now they can't do it, and you're not helping out around the house. So it's been a struggle this last week. Family's been in, different things have been going on, but it has been a struggle. Like in the morning, I got up, had my laptop out, I'm getting ready to get 5 words down. Hey babe, can you come help me? And I was like, yeah. So I stopped, go do that. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to work on my sermon, I'm going to do this. Hey, I hate to ask you this, but she can't even put on her sock because of the hip. And I'm like, no, that's not a problem. But did I get frustrated through these times? Yes. But the reason why I brought up the Genevieve part was because even though she's helping us out and everything, now that she's in my house where I live, it's different when you are a small group leader and people come to your house and they see you for an hour and a half, 2 hours. They see you at your best. You need something, you're showing a video, you're talking about these things, and you're letting them see the best Christian you that you have on view for them. When somebody lives in your house, when somebody gets in your mess, they see you wake up in the morning, tripping over the dogs, trying to get here, being mean to your 13-year-old boy because that dude just needs a pound every once in a while because he won't listen. See you be a little bit snarky to your wife in the mornings. They see that. And so the question I asked myself, and what I was asking myself, but the doubt was starting to come upon me. How can you get up in front of these people and talk to them about God? You're not worthy. Have we ever felt that? How can you do this? You're not worthy. She sees you for who you are, a sinner. I am flawed. I am a sinner. But we all are. But those thoughts and doubts kept on coming upon me stronger this week than ever before, is because I knew I was going to be speaking. It's easy when I speak at the prison because those guys are in prison. So no matter how hard I might be right now, we as people can judge and say, oh yeah, but you're convicted fellas, whatever. But it's easy to go out there, and it's easy to let it loose. But to stand up here and get ready to prepare to come up, I'm like, I am not worthy. But God has empowered me. And the scripture that I like is 1 Corinthians 9:16. For when I preach the gospel, I cannot boast, since I am compelled to preach. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. Something starts happening inside of me once I get in the Word, once I have the ability to get up in front of people and start talking about God. Something starts stirring. Something starts happening. I start to get enlivened. I start to feel a little bit energetic. I start to like, why? Because I have this inside of me. I've been putting it inside of me. I've been putting it inside of me. Now I get a chance to give it out. And I feel empowered because God has done something inside of me and wants me to share that. So for me, that's where I'm at. So even though all those things were doubts in my mind, I still had another breakdown. Here's my breakdown. My daughter was with me last night, and she goes, hey, Dad, what are you doing? I said, I'm finishing up this sermon, 12 o'clock. I'm finishing up. I said, well, what did I do here? She goes, oh, that's this, because I'm not that tech guy, but she's helping me out. I was like, man, if I would have known that, I could have highlighted this and did this. So she gave me a 5-minute course. That was amazing. And she goes, okay, I'm going to bed now. That's a good, because I got to finish this up. 12:30, I'm done. Go grab my printer, plug it in, print, walk off to the back, grab my 5 pages. It's just kind of smeared. I was like, oh no. Shook the ink cartridge, put it back in. This It's like, oh, it's not printing. And this is 12:30. And I have to be at the prison by 7, and I usually leave by 6:30, wake up at 5:30. What do I do? Now I don't have mine printed. And I usually handwrite notes, but this time I was being perfect. Because Adam's up here with all of his nice little printed up papers, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm all over it. So at 12:30 last night, I said, okay, so I'm going to sleep for 4 hours or stay up to get this on paper. Go to sleep. So I went to bed by 1. Alarm went off, got up at 5, went, started writing, had my laptop, just copying it over, going back and forth. And I was like, oh man, this is ridiculous. Now what I wanted to do was blow off the prison and not go out there, because that would give me all this extra time to be ready to come for this service. But I was like, no, that's not what's going to happen. But what I did do is I went to a scripture, and I'll tell you that scripture in a minute. So I went ahead, wrote it down, but then I didn't have all my, cut and paste Bible verses, so I was writing them down, and so I did a few of those. I kept on looking at the clock, and I'm writing, and I'm like, oh, I gotta shower and get ready. So I was like, I just started, I'm gonna have to do this old school. I'm gonna put little notes, okay, this is Psalms here, this is here, so that way I'll just have to use the actual Bible. Who does that? So I got earmarks, I tied it all up, it's okay, I'm good to go. But then, what I did land on was this right here. I landed on James 1, 2 through 4.
Ooh, come on.
I said, I'm going to count it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing or the trying of my faith is producing endurance and perseverance. And I'm going to let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So I went to the Word and I said, you know what? It's not about me. This is a struggle. But God, thank you that you believe enough in me that I'm going to make the right decision to do the things I need to do. Thank you for allowing me to get 4 hours of sleep and get up and crank it out and make it happen. Thank you for giving me the desire to get up and preach your word. Thank you for not letting me be slack in what I need to do. Thank you for letting me be bold enough to say, you know what? I got it, regardless if I don't have everything I need. I still have my video, I'm good. We're going to make it happen. So thank you, God, for letting me go through those trials. So, what did your last year look like?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. I hear you. Oh, Lord. And so I'm going to throw out a few things that are kind of blanketed. And the crazy thing is my guys in the prison, I used to say once, so I kind of practiced my preach on them. So as I was going through it, I was like, do I need to change this up like I do? Everything that applies with us out here applied to those guys in the prison. But did you have a death of a loved one this year? No, that was real for some people in this congregation. Did you break up or get a divorce this year? Did you have somebody in your life with cancer or an illness? Did you get diagnosed with cancer or an illness? Did you have job struggles? Was it a struggle in the morning just to go to the job? Yeah. Was your current living conditions not what you wanted? Did you struggle with that? How about finances? Struggle with some finances? Were things not as much in the bank as we wanted? Did any of us struggle with addictions, whether they be chemical or alcohol or something else? Struggle with Netflix addiction sometimes. It's hard to turn it off. But it's all right. But I do have good news, even if you had those struggles, even if 2018 wasn't the stellar year you wanted. You only got one more day left of it. No, that's just a joke. So the good news is the good news rests in the gospel. Now we got to stop letting our happenings, the things that are happening around us, dictate our life. That's not where we find happiness. That's where we can find happiness in those things. Junior buys me a Coke, gives it to me, and let me be happy. That's something that happened that makes me feel that way. But our joy comes from who? See, I'm looking at you. Come on, man. And joy comes from who? God, the Lord. Yeah, so we need to put our joy in the Lord. Quit looking at the things that are going on around us and trying to find our happiness in those meaningful things. So, I like the illustrations, dude. I just feel like that's like, the ideal bulbs popping off in my head. Every time I got a good one, I'm like, boom, it happened. You can hear that. So anybody here ever built a barbed wire fence?
Yes.
Nice, no rednecks. Okay, Laura, which I understand, dairy farmer. Kurt. I figured the Arkansas crowd had to build a fence somewhere. So, well, good. I'm going to educate y'all on what it looks like to build a barbed wire fence, and none of you guys have done that. And I've actually done this, stretched about 2 miles of barbed wire. So, first thing you got to do, you got to clear the land. You'll have trees and different things, and so you got to figure out, I want the fence to go from here to here, and so I got to clear the land and get everything out of my way. That's the first thing you do when you build a fence, is you're going to clear the land. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to plant something called H brackets and 90s. And so what they look like, an H bracket is just what it sounds like. It's pipe that's been welded together in the form of an H, and then you dig in the ground, put it down, concrete it, and then you set it up. And then you'll have your corner pieces, which will either end up with another kind of H bracket, or it'll be like a 90 where it turns around the corner. And so what those are for, so when you stretch the barbed wire, you have the support to go across. But after you've planted or dug and put the H brackets in, then you start to drive the T-post. So the T-posts are going to be spread out. And so you get them from the ground, and you start driving them down into the ground. If you've ever done this in West Texas, we have limestone and rocks, and it's incredibly hard to get them to drive down straight in. So sometimes you might move a little bit more, drive it in, come over here, and then some jackhammer, dig, and do whatever you got to do, then you put your T-post in. After you put your T-post in comes the barbed wire. And that's the tricky part. It's no barbed wire, it's just that. It's barbed wire and sharp. So you take it to the H bracket or to the corner piece, and you tie it off. Once you tie it, you loop it around, and then you pull it to the other end where you're tied off to. And so at that point, what a lot of guys will do is they take a come along. Did y'all do that, Laura? Take a come along, you tie it to the come along like a strap down, and then you crank it so that way you can get it tight. So that's tied off, and you're cranking it, and then somebody else is going to come over here and they tie it off, but you're using that to get the slack out of the barbed wire. So in the process of when we did a barbed wire fence, we got everything set, we're stretching it. We needed just a little bit more slack to tie it off over here, so I stand in the middle, in between the two posts, and I got gloves on and everything, and I'm pulling on it, giving it a go. The guy's over here, he's getting it, trying to get a little bit more, tying it off. The tension, the pressure, too much on the come along, barbed wire snaps. It snaps, and this stuff's rolled up in coils. And so when it snaps, it's all stretched out, it tries to go back to its original form. So it comes back, and so I get wrapped up in barbed wire in the middle of the field that we just put up. So it's wrapped around me. And I go, oh my goodness. Luckily, I was with people, so he comes, undoes it. I start looking at vitals first. Okay, there's all my, like the big veins, nope, some blood here, some scripts here. He helps, he unties it, he gets me undone. We're good. And then we go ahead and stretch it, we've done it correctly. So we put it back together, and then after you get it stretched, then you clip it off to the T-post. There's these little clips you use, and that way it kind of stays on there, and it's good and firm, there's no fall. So you go, well, my daughter would say, it's a cool story, bro. What does that mean? So, yeah, that's you. You're like, hey, let me pay attention now. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. So that's what she would say. It's a cool story, bro. So what does that have to do with anything? Let's look at building a barbed wire fence and kind of go with our Christian life. So the first thing you do is you level the ground, and you make sure you clean it up and you get it straight. To me, that's confession. Looking at yourself and seeing what I got going on in my life that I need to confess. What I got going on in my life that's stopping me or impeding me from doing what I need to do. I want to clear that out. I want to give that to God. I want to confess it, give it to God, and clear the land. Second thing is the H brackets. They're the Word of God. They're the stability. So I'm going to dig the holes, I'm going to plant them down, and that's going to be what I tie off to. If I go around this corner, I'm going to have something like that here, so that's my stability, is having the H brackets in place. I'm going to drive the T-post, and they're going to be a direct line of where I want to go, but then they're going to be spaced out every so often with Christian brothers, with fellowship, with people that hold me accountable. So my Christian walk will be the T-post. Sometimes it's hard to drive them down, and sometimes they don't stick. So you got to move it over a little bit, try again. Sometimes you got to dig down deep. We don't want to dig down deep because that's work. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to let them know all the stuff that's going on in me, so I have accountability. So sometimes you got to do that. And then once you get it, then you're going to get it stable. And you're going to go from there. Lastly, we're going to stretch the barbed wire. We're going to put our faith in action. Our faith is going to be on the ground that we've given up to God. It's going to be tied off in the Word. is sometimes it might be stretched tight. Sometimes it might be pulled more than we want to be pulled. Sometimes we might fail our faith. Our faith won't fail us, but sometimes we might fail our faith. And we might get wrapped up in something. We might become bloody. We might become ugly. We might have to hopefully have a friend come and unwrap us and get us out of it. We're going to have our faith. Any of you who've ever been in a field, ever thought, I'm going to climb across this barbed wire fence, and ever thought, it's not going to hold. You've never thought that. It's just, it's a fence. It's going to hold. I'm going to step on it. I'm going to go across. I'm going to be on the other side. But our fence needs to be strong with fellow brothers in Christ. Our fence needs to be strong with God. And our faith, even though it might be pulled tight, needs to be strong so it holds up. To keep the fence out, and to be there, be our guardrail, and to keep us from going over to the other side and not doing worse things for you. So that's why it's supposed to work. All right. So we talked about our struggles. Talked about being stretched too tight. Now we get to the part of what I said we're going to look at. Let's look at last year with some of those things and the struggles we've had with last year. My struggle even this last week. But Psalms 49:15 says this, but God will redeem. He will rescue. He will deliver my soul from the power of the grave. Psalm 73:26 says this, my flesh and heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. But God will rescue me. But God is my strength during these tough times of stretching to the point of snapping. We've all been in a work environment or somewhere else where we just love to snap. But God will rescue me. He'll give me the strength to get through those times. And if we do fail or we do sin, because we say, oh, I made a mistake. No, you didn't. You sinned. So, if you want to be called out. So, Ryan and I were talking one time, and he said, the problem is that I don't want to, not that he doesn't want to, but people look at going to church as just a feel-good thing. Like, oh, you're going to feel good next week, you're going to feel good today. I don't want to feel good. I want to feel convicted, but I want the truth of God to speak through me. I want the truth of God to speak to me, so that way I do something with my life and I just come in and have a good time and then go home and say, I had a great time today. That was great. No, I want us to be convicted and know what God has in plan for our lives so that we can put something into action and not be participants just sitting on the roads, but we're actually doing something with our lives. So if we do fail, if we do sin, 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, there is no temptation or enticement to sin that has overtaken you that is not common to man. But God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. So it's not going to be more than you can bear. You're not going to be tempted where you can't get out of it, but you be tempted. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it. So JP, every time I look at you, that means you're going to chime in with the but God, because I thought you'd be more on this. So all right, that's good. It's okay. I just thought this is for him. I thought he was going to be on it. So I actually told you before. Okay, you got you right. Because you're the crowd. Get them revved up. All right. So in the Old Testament, David's hiding in the wilderness from King Saul, and he wants to kill him. And so David's hiding in the wilderness. And so the scripture is 1 Samuel 23:14. It says, David stayed in the wilderness strongholds and in the hills of the desert of Zeph. Day after day, Saul searched for him. But God did not give David into his hands. But God did not give him into his hands. God was his protector. God was his protector. God is your protector. So now I want to old school Old Testament again, the story of Joseph. You remember the story of Joseph and the robe of many colors? I'll give you a brief snapshot in case you missed that in preschool color robe, because that's what we do. We teach our kids the color and then we teach them the story and that way they'll remember it. So Joseph had many brothers. His father loved him the most. The brothers were jealous and envious of Joseph. His father gave him a nice robe and all these colors, and it made him more distinguished and set apart from his brothers. His brothers, they were out. A traveling caravan of Ishmaelites were coming through, and then they got together, and they said, hey, let's get rid of him. And so they sold him to the Ishmaelites, and he was their prisoner. The Ishmaelite caravan ended up in Egypt, in Pharaoh's guard, right-hand man, prison guard, but anyway, his name was Potiphar. Potiphar ended up buying Joseph. Joseph could interpret dreams, and then in the process knew that there was a famine coming, and so he actually got promoted up. There was a couple little things that happened along the way, but then he got promoted up to the chief right-hand man of Pharaoh. And so knew that there's a famine coming, and said, hey, we need to gather up these 7 years, we got plenty of stuff coming, gather up as much as we can, put it to the side. So he did that. And then after those 7 years was going to be famine. And so the lands were going to be devastated, but that kingdom would be strong. So this happened as he foresaw it. And then after it happened, he was in that place. His brothers came, not knowing that he was there, not knowing who he was, but their father sent them there to that kingdom to say, hey, we don't have any food, we need food and supplies because of what's happened. So Joseph, without them knowing what was going on, Joseph told them, so this is what he told them. He said, this is Genesis 50:20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. How many times in our lives have we set ourselves up to be harmed or set ourselves up for destruction? But God intended it. But God had a plan. God was David's protector. And God had a plan even though it looked like there was no plan. If he sold into slavery. So far, we got God is a redeemer. He's a deliverer. But God is my redeemer. But God will be my strength. But God will be faithful. But God will be my protector. But God has a plan for my life. If nothing else, that is good news to say, but God has a plan for my life. Especially with the struggles of last year, especially with all the things going on. Whatever your political beliefs, if you buy into all that stuff and get wrapped up in it, you'll go crazy. And I don't do that, so I'm okay by saying that. But God has a plan. Whether you know what that plan is or not, God has a plan for your life. So those are those pieces. Now, I ask myself, those are good, and there's lots more but God statements. And I actually did have a few more. Oh, yeah. So here's a few more but God statements before we get into what I want to talk about. You're like, you're going to talk a lot, bro. No, I mean, just a few things. So here's a few more but God statements, and I'm not going to go into depth with them, but 2 Timothy 2:9. But God's word is not chained. And that was just kind of cool. But God's word is not chained. It's not bound up. It's not chained. God's word will go forth and accomplish that which it was meant to do. So God's word is not chained. Philippians 2:27. But God had mercy. But God had mercy. The video at the beginning is like grace. It's about mercy. And, but God had mercy. Genesis 8:1. After the floods and the waters, it says, but God remembered Noah. God doesn't forget about us. So God has a plan. God doesn't forget about us. God's our strength. He's faithful. He's my protector. He has a plan for my life. That's but God. Now, this, I was able to write the rest of them down. I'll have to actually use a Bible. Imagine that in church. All right, so Acts 2:23 through 24. It says this. This man, he's talking about Jesus. This man was handed over to you by God's deliberate plan and foreknowledge, and you, with the help of wicked men, put him to death by nailing him to the cross. But God raised him from the dead. Woo! Think about that. But God raised him from the dead. Your plan was to kill him, but God raised him from the dead, freeing him from the agony of death, because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. And then Acts 3:15 is this. You killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead, and we were witnesses of this. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So that's why I brought up the first part first. That he was put on the tree, death couldn't hold him, God raised him from the dead. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. That's but God demonstrates his love. God has his love for us to that point, to demonstrate it through the death of his Son. So those are the last few words, the powerful book God. Those are the ones that mean something to me. Matthew 19:26. Jesus looked at them and said, so this is Jesus talking, with man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. You know what's coming. So with man, this is impossible. With man, if we would have came up in our own head that we're going to have a church, we're going to do this, we're going to get together, we're going to do this. With man, this would be impossible. But with God, all things are possible. So let's put that on our list. We're like, whatever our struggle is, whatever we're going through, whatever the thing is at work or the people that we don't like for whatever reason, is like, all right, I can't figure any of this out on my own. This will not make me benefit at all. But with God, all things are possible. I can wrap my head around it. I've done this. I did a pie chart on all the people that I don't like and all the people that kind of like me. And I X'd off the people on Instagram and Twitter that I don't follow. So I can't even figure it out. So with God, all things are possible. Quit trying to figure it out. Quit trying to do the work yourself and give it to God. And we prayed to God and we talked to him and we told him what our frustrations are. That's the starting point. So two things. If people ever ask me questions, they say, hey, you know what, my spouse, and I go, okay, have you been in the Word? Have you prayed? If we say, my job, have you been in the Word? Have you prayed? So with my kids, the way they're acting, have you been in the Word? Have you prayed? So my answer is a great answer. You can put it in your own pocket and use it whatever you want. You can use that in any situation in life where you're helping anybody out who has a problem in their life. What does the Word say? And have you prayed to God? You stop there. Oh, it doesn't matter what Mason Staggs thinks. It doesn't matter what my daughters think. It matters. It definitely doesn't matter what my wife thinks. Oh, she's still here. So had to look around and just never know. She might have rolled in a wheelchair. But what does the Word say? And then what did I say when I talked to God? What did God say to me? So have I prayed about it? Have I looked God in the Word to figure out what the Word says? So that's my counseling tips for anything in life. Go to the Word and go to God.
Amen.
I've actually done good. Kurt, would you come up and get behind me, brother? I get Kurt to get some music going because, dude, whenever I listen to him, they just have a little bit of guitar going on. Whatever he says sounds so much better. When Adam gets up here and Kurt's playing a little bit of a tune and he starts doing the last bit, I'm like, man, Adam just got better. Somebody helps us out, so that's where I'm going to go with that. We're going to close it up, and so but I wanted to get some of that. I want to get some of that good stuff going behind me, so that way I sound better when I'm doing it. Already, I just increased 10 times. I'm better now. So what? And wherever you want to go, however you want to go, Kurt, I don't care. And I did okay for him to handwrite all my notes this morning, so not being boastful, it just worked out. And I was going to highlight them and do all this stuff. I had 2 highlighters out, one yellow, one pink, and I was going to do this for book God's, this for other key impact words. It worked out. So, Adam always says, if I can be honest, I talked to my group one day about that. He's like, can I be honest? Can I be honest that we know we struggle? We know we go through things. You know, that's that can I be honest part. You know, can I be open with you? Can I let you know that I struggle? And that's why I started off that way, to let you know that, man, it was a beat down, and I was in the ring, and I was doing the best I could, but it was rough, but I was able to make it out. Not saying I won the fight, but I did get out. I want to give us an invitation for anybody who's gone through the fight, who's going through the fire. Anybody who has something in their life that they just can't seem to get a hold of. Somebody who doesn't know what their but God statement needs to be. And that God has a plan. But God is faithful. But God is this, but God is that. What is it in your life that is holding you back? What is in your life in this last year of 2018 that you need to figure it out and say, but God, it's possible. But God has my back. God's demonstrated his love. For anybody here, if they don't know who Jesus Christ is and what he did and hasn't confessed with their mouth that he's their Lord and Savior, this is that opportunity that I want to give people to do that. Because a lot of times, we'll do it, we talk, we'll give you a chance to pray, and, we'll just blanket the prayer. But, for me, we can do that, but I want to give us that chance. Kurt's going to play a little bit, but if you don't know Jesus, and you've never accepted him, you don't understand that term salvation, but it's something that you want to know, and you want to know who but God is in your life, and I want to give you that chance. And I want to be up here and have you come up. Adam lets us sit down, and he's respectful that way, but I believe 2 Timothy 1:7-8, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. So do not be ashamed of the testimony about our Lord. So I'm going to say, be bold. If you don't know who Jesus is, and you want to come down, and you want me to pray with you, if you want to come down and JB pray with you, if you feel comfortable with a female, and the Lord comes down here and you pray with her, then we can do that. But I want to give you an opportunity, if you've never done that you come down and you can pray, and we can fulfill something that will make your life so much better. Or it'll give you those beat downs that you know you can get through them because you're going to have somebody on your side. So we're going to do that. Kurt's going to play a little bit, and we'll just give you a chance. And then if not, and everybody's good, hallelujah. Look at yourself. Look at last year. Look at what's been holding you back. Give it to God if there's something that's resentment. If it's fear, if it's that one thing that you just can't forgive him from. Now it's about one more day, one year. Let's give it up today. So we can start off next year fresh. And all of that baggage, all those things, everything that's been wrapping us up like the ball bar that had me trapped. Let's get that off. Let's throw it down. Let's leave it behind us so that we can walk in next year. So think about that. Reflect on that as Kurt sings. And give it to God and have it done. Don't let that baggage, don't feel like that's your emotional handicap where you get in there and you need to pull those things out. And get it and throw it out the door. Be done with it. So you can go forward. Go ahead and stand up.
Promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. The promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. You never fail me yet. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I've seen you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I've seen you do it again. I've seen you move.
that we've been through. We thank you for the things in our life that have helped us become the people that we are today, Lord. We're thankful that we're not promised anything, but that you give us all that we need. And we pray that as we go through this week, as we look into this new year, that we don't make empty-handed declarations for the future, but that we look at ourselves and make a New Year's that is something of importance to you and for our lives, Lord. That we make it where, you know what, I'm not going to give up ice cream, but I'm going to read the Word every day. And whatever it is that you set upon us, Lord, that we start reflecting that we learn how to walk closer to you, that we learn how to be your children, learn how to be loved by you, and then in turn we're able to love others, Lord. We're just so thankful that we're able to come together